click OK. Now right click on your router, start it, and then right click, cancel. Okay, let's go in and configure the first interface. Actually, we're gonna use only one interface. So interface fast Ethernet 0/0. IP address will be 192.168.1.255.255.255.0, and I forgot to write IP address at the beginning. And then no shot to bring the interface up. Okay, so next step is configuring this router to be our DHCP server, because we need to assign IP addresses to our phones. So this router will be your DHCP server as well. Now, if you like to add a server to work as a DHCP server for you, that's fine, go ahead. But I'm just going to keep this one simple, so I configure that DHCP server on this router. To configure that, the first step is to exclude the IP addresses that we don't want to assign to our clients. So first step, IP DHCP exclude addresses 192.168.1.1. I don't want to assign this one because I already gave it to the router. And let's say 192.168.1.5. So IP addresses from 1 to 5 will not be assigned to any of the clients. Next, we're gonna create a pool for our DHCP server. So IP DHCP pool, and the name, I say my pool. Okay, so in this pool, first our network has to be configured 192.168.1.0. This is our network. Next, the default router. So default router is 192.168.1.1. And one more thing that you have to configure here is option 150. So option 150 tells your phones where the TFTP server address is. So when the phones refer to this DHCP server and they want to receive an IP address, then the DHCP server tells the phones where to refer to download their firmware. And that's the address of TFTP server. In this case, it's the address of our router. So 192.168.1.1. Great, we're done with our DHCP server configurations. Let's exit out of this and let's go and see if we have assigned IP addresses to the computers. Okay, no, it hasn't received anything, so I click on repair. It's gonna communicate with my router and receive one IP address. Okay, done. So if you have the same issue, you can follow the same steps. Click on your network card and the support, repair, and receive a new IP address. As you can see here, .6 is assigned to this computer. Okay, so now let's go back to the router. I have to prepare this router so that I can transfer the file to the flash memory of this router. There are a few commands that we have typed here: erase the flash memory and then format it and then transfer the file. If you're using different type of router, you might not have these commands supported. So if you, for example, you tried erase or format and format flash, right? Erase flash, and it doesn't work, don't worry about it. Just skip that step and go to the next step. With that said, let's go to privilege. Let's go and configure everything. Now in global configurations, telephony service. First, there are three things that you have to configure here. First is IP source address. This tells the phone where their brain is, where the communication, all the communication processing is happening. So IP source address, it's 192.168.1.1. That's the IP address of your router, and the port is 2000. So we're telling those phones to communicate with this IP address through that port. Next, maximum number of maximum directory numbers that you have in your directory. How many numbers do you want to have? Let's say in this case I say 10 numbers. And then max e-phones, how many phones you want to have. Let's say 10, or you can have more or less. Okay, so now we're done with that. Let's exit, and in privilege mode we type show ePhone. No phones registered yet. Okay, let's go to virtual machine and let's install Cisco IP communicator. The installation is pretty straightforward. It's again all windows that you have to click next, and finish installation. So I'm gonna pause the video because nothing significant here. I'm gonna pause the video, I'll install this, and then I'll be back. Okay, so now this is the last window, finish. And next, let's run it. When you start the Cisco IP communicator for the first time, it just wants to test some of the audio devices that you have, your microphone, your headset. So there is the play, stop, next, test, stop, next, and finish. Now when you test all this stuff, sometimes you might get some pop-up menus, pop-up windows from your firewall that ask you, do you want to allow this application to get access to the internet or anything else. So you just unblock it and let it access wherever you want to go. Okay, this is one phone, and let's run the other phone on the other virtual machine. Here is the second phone. Let's go back to this virtual machine and see how our phone is booting up. Okay, so now the second phone is coming up. Okay, now you can see here it's communicated with TFTP server, and then there you go. So the second phone is up as well. Let's go to our router. Now you see here on the router we got some messages that this ePhone came up and the second ePhone came up. Now if I type show ePhone, this time I can see there are two phones. The two phones that I started, they are now registered here. So here you can see these are the MAC addresses of the phones, the IP addresses, but they don't have any phone number. We're gonna give them assign the IP, the phone number to these phones. Now let's go to global configurations and first directory number. So we go to ePhone DN1 and we assign a number to this. So the number is gonna be let's say 2001. Exit ePhone DN2. This is the second number in your directory numbers, and here number will be 2002, and so on. You can configure everything in this way. Okay, now I want to type that show ePhone one more time because I want to look at the MAC addresses of these phones. I need them now. Now let's configure the first ePhone. So ePhone 1. MAC address of the first ePhone is gonna be this one. So that's the MAC address, and then the first button on that phone. If you look at this phone, it has like 8 buttons. Now this first button, if you assign a number to that, that will be your first line. So here button 1 will have the first number in our directory list, and then after that I'm going to reset the phone. Now the phone is resetting. Which phone is that? Okay, it's this phone. Now this phone is resetting. So okay, I registered the IP phone 2 with the first MAC address. It's okay, doesn't matter. let's go back to the router and let's wait for this phone to come up. And here is the first number. Let's go back to our router. Now I want the MAC address of this phone, so exit here, ephone2 MAC address will be this, and button 1 of this phone has the second number, and then reset the phone. Now I don't need this router. Let's send it down and bring up this phone. As you can see here, now this phone is booting up. I'm gonna keep both of them here in my window so that we can see both phones. Now this reset is a very quick boot up, but since my system is a bit slow now, it takes a while for this phone to come up. Now if this phone comes up, you will see the number 2002 is assigned here. Okay, let's try. Now I'm gonna dial 2001, and you can see here the other phone is ringing, and we're gonna answer this phone. Let's click on answer. Okay, so both are communicating now, and then after that you can click here, end call, and end conversation. Okay, so that's how that you can configure a voice lab